The H1B Guy here, and today, the H1B Guy news for the week ending March 4th, 2022. Today I'll cover H1B and H2B caps reached for fiscal year 2022, TPS for Ukrainians currently located in the US, and H1B and L1B Visa Reform Act introduced. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube and like this video so that I can continue to produce more content like this for you. I also wanted to mention that H1B Guy offers a variety of consulting services. I help businesses and individuals solve complex work authorization issues in the recruitment process while bringing awareness to employment-based immigration benefits. If I can help you, please reach out. I'd love to hear how. Today's news is brought to you by Syndesis and Path to Canada, the ideal plan B for high-skilled immigrants currently located in the U.S. whose status may be uncertain, and by PERM-Ads.com, the industry leader in providing a seamless experience for employers and immigration attorneys navigating the complex PERM recruitment ad phase of the labor certification process. Now, the news. Well, I wanted to thank everyone who joined me on Tuesday for the H1B Guy Live on March 1st, 2022, where I covered the H1B Lottery Fiscal Year 2023 Special Edition. This was taking place to coincide with the annual lottery that opened up their electronic portal for employers starting on March 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here are the news stories that interested me most this week. On February 28th, 2022, a USCIS news release titled, USCIS reaches fiscal year 2022 H1B cap. Quote, USCIS has received a sufficient number of petitions needed to reach the congressionally mandated 65,000 H1B visa regular cap and the 20,000 H1B visa U.S. advanced degree exemption, known as the master's cap for fiscal year 2022. We have completed sending non-selection notifications to registrants' online accounts. The status for registrations properly submitted for fiscal year 2022 H1B numerical allocations, but that were not selected will now show not selected, not eligible to file an H1B cap petition based on this registration. On February 27th, I began to receive messages from many of you letting me know that your My USCIS account had been updated. I assume this implied that a fourth H1B lottery had been held for fiscal year 2022. However, that was not the case. USCIS instead received a sufficient number of petitions from the third lottery that they held back in November of 2021 to reach the mandated 85,000 total annual allotment. This release was published only a day before the H1B lottery for fiscal year 2023 was slated to open, giving employers less than that to make sure that any of their employees who were not selected or not awarded in the previous lottery could be submitted into this year's lottery. I believe that 2 H1B lotteries will be the norm going forward as long as the current system remains in place. I will be interested to see, though, if we will ever see a third lottery again or not, but very clearly a fourth lottery was just a pipe dream. On March 1st, 2022, in another USCIS release titled H2B cap reach for second half of fiscal year 2022, quote, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has received enough petitions to meet the congressionally mandated H2B cap for second half of fiscal year 2022. February 25th, 2022 was the final receipt date for new cap subject H2B petition or worker petitions requesting an employment start date on or after April 1st, 2022 and before October 1st of 2022. We will reject new cap subject H2B petitions received after February 25th, 2022 that request an employment start date on or after April 1st, 2022 and before October 1st, 2022. While this platform doesn't designate a lot of time to H2B coverage, I did think that this was worth mentioning that the H2B cap for fiscal year 2022 was also reached roughly around the same time of the H1B cap. The key information here is that receipt must have been received before February 25th, with a start date after April 1st and before October 1st in order to be eligible. On March 3rd, 2022, in an update of Go v. the U.S. Department of State, the presiding judge Mehta issued an order conditionally granting the defendant's motion for stay. This stay is for 30 days, and it will require an expedited appeal to be filed by the Department of State. But for DV 2021 winners who saw their opportunity expire due to travel bans and lack of consular appointment availability, it doesn't look hopeful that a favorable ruling is going to be received in this case. Also on March 3rd, 2022, in another USCIS release titled Secretary Mayorkas designates Ukraine for temporary protected status for 18 months. Quote, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has announced the designation of Ukraine for temporary protected status, TPS, for 18 months. Individuals eligible for TPS under this designation must have continuously resided in the United States since March 1st, 2022. Individuals who attempt to travel to the United States after March 1st, 2022 will not be eligible for TPS. Ukraine's 18-month designation will go into effect on the publication date of the forthcoming Federal Register Notice. The Federal Register Notice will provide instructions for applying for TPS and an Employment Authorization Document, EAD. TPS applicants must meet all eligibility requirements and undergo security and background checks. This simply applies to only Ukrainians currently in the U.S. Before or as of March 1st of 2022 and in a subsequently alternate status. While this can't change the ongoing situation in their home country, it will provide them with an EAD work authorization in the U.S. for the next 18 months and hopefully providing some relief and security and stability in their lives. On March 3rd, 2022, in a news release on grassley.senate.gov titled Grassley Durbin introduced bipartisan H1B L1B visa reform legislation. Quote, Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat from Illinois, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, introduced bipartisan legislation to reform and close loopholes in the H1B and L1 visa programs. The H1B and L1 Visa Reform Act will reduce fraud and abuse, provide protections for American workers and visa holders, and require more transparency in the recruitment of foreign workers. This comprehensive overhaul of the H1B and L1 visa programs will protect American workers and crack down on foreign outsourcing companies which exploit these visa programs to deprive qualified Americans of high-skilled jobs. Grassley and Durbin first introduced this legislation in 2007 and have been longtime advocates for H1B and L1B visa reform. The H1B and L1 Visa Reform Act will require U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to prioritize for the first time the annual allocation of H1B visas. The new system would ensure that the best and brightest STEM advanced degree students educated in the United States receive preference for H1B visa, and it also prioritized other U.S. advanced degree holders, those being paid a high wage and those with valuable skills. The legislation explicitly prohibits the replacement of American workers by H1B or L1 visa holders. The bill would prohibit companies with more than 50 employees, of which at least half are H1B or L1 holders, from hiring additional H1B employees. The H1B and L1B Visa Reform Act includes several reforms for L1 visa program, including establishment of a wage floor for L1 workers and a change to the definition of specialized knowledge to ensure that L1 visas are reserved only for truly key personnel. Along with Senators Grassley and Durbin, this legislation is also co-sponsored by Senators Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, Tommy Tuberville, Republican from Alabama, Sherrod Brown, Democrat from Ohio, Bill Hagerty, Republican from Tennessee, and Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont. I do plan to post a standalone on the text of this legislation at some point in the next few weeks, so be on the lookout for that. But what's really interesting here is that a fair amount of this text is language that we've seen for many years in previous immigration reform legislation. Prioritization for those that are U.S. STEM educated, replacement of American workers, the 50-50 rule, and redefining specialized knowledge for L1s is all language that we've seen previously. Senator Grassley and Senator Durbin's track records of getting immigration legislation passed speak for themselves. But we continue to see bipartisan support for many of the H1B and L1B reforms presented here. I don't expect there to be a lot of momentum on the H1B and L1B Visa Reform Act this year, but it could definitely be a standalone piece of immigration reform to watch in 2023. For the full post on the H1B Guy news for the week ending March 4th, 2022, please check out the H1BGuy.com. And a reminder that today's news was brought to you by Designates and Path to Canada, the ideal plan B for high-skilled immigrants currently located in the U.S. whose status may be uncertain. If you're facing an H1B denial or OPT expiration, don't get caught off guard. Make sure you have a plan B, and Designates and Path to Canada are your answers. To find out if you qualify, please be sure to use the link in the video description below, and someone from Designates or Path to Canada will be in touch. And also by PERM-Ads.com, the industry leader in providing a seamless experience for employers and immigration attorneys navigating the complex PERM recruitment ad phase of the labor certification process. If you're looking to reduce your cost and overhead associated with PERM labor certification recruitment advertising, let PERM-Ads.com help you. Just wanted to ask you again to please like this video, subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications so that you're notified anytime we post new content here to this channel. If you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I really appreciate your support. The H1B Guy, your global source for all things H1B.